has become a national pastime, an integral part of our way of life, an outlet for carefree pleasure and exhilaration.
What you just saw there was the 1956 Australian International Olympic Surf Lifesaving Championship video. Say that 5 times real fast. You'll be hearing a lot more about that, but that particular event was the genesis of the idea for the formation of the United States Lifesaving Association.
I want to welcome you to the city of Huntington Beach and, more importantly, congratulate you on your 50th anniversary of USLA. We're quite frankly honored that you chose to bring this milestone event and conference to Huntington Beach and really return to where it all started for USLA over 5 decades ago. A little bit more special for us in Huntington Beach that you're here this year because we're also in the middle of a celebration this year. We're in the midst of a year-long celebration of the 100th anniversary of surfing in Huntington Beach.
It is indeed an honor to have been invited by Mike and the Huntington Beach crew to such an historic gathering of life-saving professionals and very big fish. For the next few hours this afternoon, we will travel through the currents of 50 years of saving lives by the United States Lifesaving Association. An adventure and an exploration of success with some failures, of joys and tears, of lessons learned, of good times and laughter. But always a promise of new challenges and hope as we look to the next 50 years. The National Surf Lifesaving Association, as our organization was known to exist, is now known as the United States Lifesaving Association. Today you're in for a real treat, a fireside chat with some of life-saving greats. We will hear from many of our leaders of the life-saving profession, be entertained by stories of fun times and great memories, and inspired and energized to continue our mission of saving lives.
So I thought I'd start out by telling you about 2 men that inspired me a lot in my philosophy of what a lifeguard was about. They're 2 great men. One of them in Australia. His name was Judge Curlewis. Actually, he was knighted by the Queen of England, and when he retired was Sir Judge Adrian Curlewis. This man had been a colonel in the Australian Army when Australia occupied Singapore and was fighting off the Japanese. He was assigned to get all the top brass out of Singapore before they were overrun. He did that. But he stayed behind. And as he wrote in his memoirs after the Japanese overtook Singapore and interned him in a concentration camp in Burma, he wrote a lot of notes out of that scripture that he had for all those years came the movie and the book, Bridge on the River Kwai. Judge Curlewis returned to Australia and became a federal judge. He was very interested in young people and extremely interested in water safety because he had been a surf lifesaver himself when he was younger. He caught me aside one day in 1956 and was very curious about the American techniques of lifeguarding. What do you guys do over there in the States, you know? And as a young man, I tried to give him the best explanation of actually what our operation was. I had a pretty good knowledge about the West Coast, and I told him about we did this, and we had sand jeeps, and we made rescues this way, and we had junior lifeguard programs, and of course I was raised in the East Coast, so I had a little knowledge that the East Coast also had a very similar operation, so we talked about it. And he imparted on me a lot of his philosophy, what lifeguarding was about. He explained the concept of a family and how he had so diligently and successfully been able to organize all the states of Australia into this one big family, that being the Surf Lifesaving Association of Australia. I'll get back to him in a little while. The next man that impressed me and set me on the right direction in my thinking was my old chief, Bud Stevenson. A real old salt of the old school type. I mean, Vince Morehouse was a great old salt, but these guys were even before and a lot saltier than Vince was. Myron Cox being one of them, Dutch Miller of Long Beach, and Bud Stevenson. Bud used to say to me, Bob, you're going to stick with this profession. You know, inevitably we've got to get ourselves up where we are recognized. We're recognized the same as police and fire. We should have the same retirement benefits. We should be on equal salary. And it's not just for us in LA County, it's for all lifeguards. And he looked down the line, and he, sitting next to LA City Beaches and Santa Monica, often talked to Chief Myron Cox. And they would chat. And as a young man, I listened to them about the potential of someday establishing a consolidated agency, one Department of Beaches in the county of Los Angeles. They had to get in some political support all the way from Long Beach all the way up into Malibu to get that done. But it was one of their visions, their dream. And he made me realize that the team was important, thinking about the other guy. But the guy that worked right next to you on an LA City beach was doing the same job you were. And yet he was making maybe a hell of a lot less, didn't have the equipment to work with, but Bud understood that he was family. We have this thing that says, lifeguards for life. We know what that means, don't we? I look at you, my God, my friends. These kids must be able to enjoy that. But it's up to us to educate them. It's up to us to bring them in. It's up to the supervisors in the field to say, you want to be part of this family? Baby, sign up. Get into your region. Get involved. Start helping the entire area. This is what the future will be for us. We will continue to grow because the passion that we all have for this that we enjoy today, its 50th anniversary, is a passion.
The Founding Fathers, as Mr. Burnside mentioned, goes back to Australia again. They wanted to form an international or a world life-saving organization, and it was led by Kevin Weldon, who was president of the Australian Surf Lifesaving Association at that time. And he got together and called this meeting of originally 5 countries. It was Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, Great Britain, and the United States. Now that first meeting was actually in Australia itself. Followed up then in 1992 in Huntington Beach, and they finally adopted their bylaws. It took actually till 1977 for that to take place. During that time of 1971 to 1993, World Lifesaving was very active, trying to be in ways throughout the world. There were 5 member countries, and in 1993, before the merger with the International Lifesaving, we grew to 20 countries. And mind you that running 20 countries in various languages is very difficult. But just to mention a few outstanding things that went on, again, Australia in 1971, the second meeting was in Huntington Beach in 72. South Africa hosted World Lifesaving in 1974. Vancouver, Canada, just to mention a few, I'll mention in Newport Beach in 1978. We have some representatives from Newport, hosted the world meeting at that time. In 1980, then we went to England, and in 1981 there was Interclub Championships in Indonesia, Bali. In 93, we went to Hawaii. I know that Ralph is here, and he remembers those days, and thank you, Ralph, for hosting at that time. And then in 1985, we went to Taipei, and thanks to Bob Moore, he was there with me to give me the support at that time. Following by 1988 in Queensland, Australia, where thank you to the USLA for endorsing me to run for president of World Lifesaving, which I had the privilege to serve from 1988 to 1993, which was a 5-year period. As just in that period of time of roughly 22 years, it's just to be noted that between Vince Morehouse, who was president in 1976, and for 4 years, and my service of 9 years, we almost Huntington Beach, I should say, the United States Surf Lifesaving Association dominated World Lifesaving for 9 years. So I think that we, as the USLA, have a lot to be grateful for in the contributions that all of you people have made during those years to give that leadership to World Lifesaving. And just to run down real quickly, the presidents that served was Kevin Weldon from Australia, Dennis Osborne from Canada, Vince Morehouse from the United States here from Huntington Beach, Seth Small from New Zealand, Gus Staunton, Australia, and Marlon Moore from Canada, myself, and then Alan Ross served the last few months before the merger.
Always positive in his outlook on life and with a keen sense of humor, he played a critical leadership role. Just after a successful 1981 May meeting, he wrote, quote, "Never before in our lifeguarding history has a national president been able to preside over the vast regions of life-saving in the United States of America. I can proudly say to all that it is an honor and a great responsibility that I feel towards USLA and you. The sense of destiny, the desire to succeed, must come from all of us. Alone, we are but a single voice. Together, we are the sound of the USLA." Now in retirement, and as he completes his term as Commodore of the Long Beach Yacht Club, he and his lovely wife, Melva, have remained active in supporting many charitable causes in the city of Long Beach. Ladies and gentlemen, the former lifeguard chief for the city of Long Beach and past president of the United States Lifesaving Association, Big Fish number 3, Dick Miller.
I want to say that with all the information that you received about our history, and to you who are going into the leadership of this great organization, that it is important to keep the principles, the ideas, and the love of competition alive. It's been a tough road, and it's not going to get any easier with the budgets and things happening throughout the United States. One of the first things that you do as a president of an organization is make sure that you have a board that is very supportive. And I was fortunate enough, as you saw with many of the speakers that you're going to hear today or have heard, that they were part of my board, and it worked out wonderfully. I think one of the things with the competition that would bind us all together was the idea that we could compete, and actually the Australians taught us a lot. You can compete, be very competitive, but then we can all go to a bar and sit around and have a beer and joke about it. And that was the esprit de corps and the love of this lifeguarding and this job. And as Bob said, that lifeguarding is for life. And I think that's the important thing. It is a family. We all share a common bond. There's nothing more exciting than saving a life. And those memories last you a lifetime.
As a young man, President Reagan had served as a lifeguard on the Rock River, making 77 rescues in Dixon, Illinois. This gentleman was granted the opportunity to sit down face to face with President Ronald Reagan as lifeguard to lifeguard in the Oval Office of the White House. Ladies and gentlemen, the past president of USLA with a 52-year career as a lifeguard and an aquatic professional from America's Windy City, Big Fish number 4, Joe Pecoraro.
As I said, I'm a Chicago lifeguard.
I started in 1949 as a lifeguard on a beach. There are beaches in Chicago. We have 32 beaches, we have 100 pools, and over 1,000 lifeguards. And trying to manage those keeps you pretty busy, especially when they're young kids, 16 years old. Also went down, while we were down there, we met with the people from the Panama Jack suntan lotion. And we walked in this boardroom, and there was all these guys with $300 suits and so on from New York. And we had to present our case why we wanted them to sponsor the USLA. And in the back was a guy sitting, and I thought he was the janitor. It turned out that the janitor was Jack Katz, Panama Jack. But they saved our life. Jack Katz gave us $10,000 to get us out of the hole. And that was, at least we were zero, we could get somewhere from there. Never forget them for that.
Yeah, I became a member of the National Surf Lifesaving Association in 1964. Now notice I said became a member because we didn't join when you worked in Huntington Beach. You were mandated to be a lifeguard member, and if you didn't join the association, you did not work. And if you think I'm kidding, just ask Max, because Vince and Max cracked the whip on us. We had to join the association. I'm proud to be one of only a few charter members of our association. There's only about a dozen of us still alive today. In November 1996, USLA came to the Monumental Agreement, and there's some disturbing differences between the times, but I think this is the second time that the Red Cross recognized us as the open water expert lifeguards in the United States. And they agreed to step back from doing open water life-saving training. In that fall meeting, I issued a challenge to stop doing the same old things and to move on to new and brighter future with membership programs and benefits and nationwide public education programs and PSAs. It was just simply a suggestion, and it happened. The people that took charge of those committees stepped up big time, and we started getting those things out into the public purview. We talked about inclusion of junior lifeguards as members. Wow. You talk about having a problem with money, bring on junior guards. We'll take their money, and our coffers started to swell. In November of 1997, in my president's report, I told the board of directors that we had just gone through the most productive era in USLA's history. It was a cooperative effort of the organization that we had accomplished all that. Certainly, as I said at the very beginning, not the president of the organization, but the organization itself. You guys, many of you in this room, did that work.
I love Bill's comment, about some of the battles. Oh, boy, God, did we have some battles, didn't we? I mean, talk about territorial. We were really territorial. But we got over it. We got over it. We'd battle like the Dickens, and Morehouse and I used to have some knockdown, drag-outs things. But after it was over, we'd go out and have one too many, laugh about it, and talk about the vision, And that's the thing about this early bunch that I think was really special. They really weren't selfish about just themselves and their wants. Yeah, they were proud in Huntington Beach, and we were proud in L.A. County, and L.A. City guys were proud. San Diego were proud. We were all proud as hell of our groups. But this was a bunch of guys that were looking for something a hell of a lot bigger than just we California lifeguards. We had a dream. It was a vision, a vision of a national family. And you guys have taken it there today. Vince, Phil, proud, really proud. Well, I've taken it on myself today, but not so much myself, but on behalf of the old dreamers that are sitting here, some of us this afternoon, others have moved on to that other reassignment, as we often say, to make a presentation to some of you that have done a little bit more to move this thing forward. And what it's called is a surfman's check. And at the turn of the century, in the East Coast particularly, there were different life-saving stations that were scattered throughout the coast in very treacherous areas where shipping would come in and out of harbors and along the coast as it moved from one end of the east to the other. And these surfmen would walk a 3 or 4 mile stretch of beach day and night looking for any vessels that were in distress that might have hit squalls. And when they met each other, they would exchange a medal, and that medal was called a surfman's check.
If you remember back in 1991 at the Huntington Beach International Surfing Museum, we did a project on the heroes of lifeguards, surf lifesaving. And I had many people contribute, Max and Bill, and Bob, you were a treasure trove of material. And you, when I first called you after Buddy Bond said, hey, give Bob a call, you said, I've been waiting for you. And you gave me so much stuff.
But then there was one item that I'm positive that was yours. That is yours because it does have your name on it.
Careful now.
And it says it's from 1957.
Wow.
And it's from the Australian Surf Lifesaving. And I can't believe that you haven't noticed it's been gone, but I was able to collect it. I shined it up for you, and I have it for you right now. Well, hello. Now, Bob, this is, I actually wanted to shine it up, and I know exactly where that's going to go. Is that right, Annette? It's going to go right in your dining room.
I want to see whether Vince and Max and Bill think you did a good job on this. Thank you, folks.
One more thing about communication up and down the coast here when we first started. The big shots from LA County and LA City, and I'm sure one of the groups down here, went to see if Seal Beach, Little Seal Beach, could meet our certification qualifications. So we went down there, we checked out their units and their training program and their staffing and communications and their units and all, the whole thing. And when it was all done, they met all the qual. They did a great job. But when it was all over, we said, we have a question for you. And they said, well, what's that? And well, all your towers in your truck, you have this roll of toilet paper roll, and inside the toilet paper roll, there's this polyurethane line with a brass hook on, sticking out of either end. What is that? And they said, you mean you guys don't use boat tows? And in those days, the lifeguards go in the water, hook up, and try to keep a boat off the beach before your boat could come down and pick it up. We never heard of a boat tow. So the next day, the next week, the next month, every tower in the county and the city and whoever it was down here all have those boat tows. We had our own roll of toilet paper. And I think some of the guys would get bored during the winter would find out neat ways to tie those things, which are interesting. But anyway, so we learned from each other. We learned a lot from each other. And I think that was the most important facet of those days.
One of the things we've been most effective at, and when you consider we only started in 1964, we now have a truly national stature where we have operating agreements or ongoing relationships with a variety of national organizations. You see the Red Cross, the YMCA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, with whom we have an MOU to deal with things like rip current education and so on, Sea Grant, the National Park Service, the National Weather Service, and those are just a few examples of national groups who view us as equals in the United States. Had a major problem that was just an evolutionary problem of the press and others trying to get in touch with us quickly. We don't have an office yet. We did not have an answering service or anything along those lines, and often we missed opportunities when the press was wanting to call us and find out, get information or advice on issues at hand. So we created a phone system that allows anyone to call the USLA and get directly through to any one of the officers, and particularly our Public Information Officer, Tom Gill. If we, as a group, as a profession, are to look at the USLA in the sense of the greatest piece, the greatest success that the USLA is, it is that we talk to each other respectfully and we learn from each other. And were it not for that, we would not have progressed anywhere near as far as we have. So I want to thank Bob. I want to thank Joe, Dick, Don, Bill. We're the ones trying to run it right now, and we hope you think we're doing a decent job of it. We're going to keep trying. But to you, all of you, and those who you work with, I want to say that we are standing on your shoulders, and others who come after us will stand on ours. Thank you.
Albert Finney plays Edward Bloom. Have you all seen this movie, Big Fish? Anyone out there? A few of you? A character who is a successful traveling salesman in the final days of his life fighting cancer. In those last few weeks, Albert Finney, the father, repeats these stories to his estranged son and family members over his life. Some of those stories are tall tales that he's told over and over again, year after year, to the frustration of his estranged son. As death nears in the final few days, his son Will discovers through his own investigation of the great deeds of his father that he never knew, and learns that his father's tall tales were indeed true. The final scene of the movie starts in the hospital where the son Will has been sitting all night next to his dying father, when all of a sudden the father awakes and says, "Let's get to the river." So off they go, breaking out of the hospital gown and all, jumping into a fast Dodge Charger, heading for the river. As they arrive at the bank of the river, everybody is there. I mean everybody. All of the father's lifetime friends and his wife, and there's not a sad face among the group. As all are present and waving goodbye, the son picks his father up from out of the car in his arms and carries him down to the river. The father hands his wedding ring to his wife, standing waist deep in water, and the son places the father in the river, and he swims away as the big fish, becoming what he was always. And so, fellow lifesavers, when your final days have come on this earth, and you're about ready to finish your final watch, I hope and pray that those days will end with everyone present, I mean everyone there, your families and friends, waving goodbye, and that there may not be a sad face among that group. As you're placed in the water, and you swim away as the big fish, and your stories will live on. So God bless all of you. God bless the United States Lifesaving Association.
On behalf of the San Clemente Ocean Festival, I'd like to present this $1,000 check to the USLA for this event. And it's just an awesome moment being here, seeing legendary watermen and lifeguards, people who've had a lot of what I want to say, a lot of have made it happen for lifeguarding around the world, especially in this nation. The men and women of this nation have really enjoyed the leadership of this group to become a better, more professional organization, and I'm just proud to be part of that. The Ocean Festival is proud to be associated with the United States Lifesaving Association. We have an open door. We want to bring this group back to the San Clemente Ocean Festival. We hope to work on that over the next few months or years and talk about that. It's a great event, and I'm just proud to be here, and thanks for giving us a chance to donate to your worthy cause. Thank you.
So the John Wayne Cancer Foundation has been saving lives since '85. We bring courage, strength, and grit to the fight of cancer, John Wayne's famous slogan. We try to give survivors a chance to kind of reintroduce them to being themselves again. If you have had an experience with cancer, or you know anybody with cancer, you know that it takes a huge toll on your body, and the John Wayne Cancer Foundation does a really good job of getting cancer patients back on their feet in outdoor activities, sports, support groups, and helping them just get back to normal.
We hope you enjoyed our program today. Thank you for sharing USLA's oral tradition. This concludes our educational conference. On behalf of the California Surf Lifesaving Association, we wish USLA a very happy 50th anniversary.
Even before we had a formal organization, we had an organization. And then when we finally got together, there were differences between Orange County and LA County, that's for sure. But we were able to work all those things out. And we learned to trust one another. We learned to communicate with one another. And 50 years later, here we are. It worked.
We're here at the 50-year anniversary of the United States Lifesaving Association, so it's really a great venue for it because this is the birthplace, really, of modern lifesaving in our country.
The USLA has done amazing things as bringing lifeguard standards and education and competition to all over the country and developing some of the best. The goal is to work together and make everybody better. So we reach down and we pull people up and we try to elevate people's standards.
My goal was to pass on the baton to newer and younger folks and to carry it on, and they're doing a great job. And I was very impressed today seeing some of my old friends that started this organization. I haven't seen them in many years. So this is like old home week.
I think what I really enjoyed was the history and seeing some of the old guys I've known since the early 70s. It was great. Like I said, my old captain was here and I got a big thrill out of that. Don Rohr. That's always a thrill to see him.
We had the vision. We struggled through the early formation, but the people today that have been in this organization have greased the wheels. They are the internet of the new lifeguards. We were the old TV and dial and telephone, but they've taken to it all the way. And in the bottom line, it comes down to who's gained from this. Of course, we have as a family, but the public, the general public, safety at our beaches and our lakes and our rivers.